okay, you're my dad. Like, you brought me into this world, right? Which you also tell me you can take me out, but now you billing me for being alive, right? But it taught me something. It taught me to appreciate not only my gifts, my talents, my abilities, but it also taught me that, again, like when things get hard, when things get rough, I'd never be broke a day in my life. Never. Because my mind alone is wealth. My personality, my social capital, like that alone can give me a feast, you know, in the presence of my enemy.
Yo, I got a lot of living to do before I die. I ain't got time to waste. Time don't wait. Everything costs. Time been money. I don't fool with homie. Slime been funny. I don't do no jokes unless I'm the one telling them. Y'all nasty like 69. Y'all boys telling. Stay away from goofies. This is not a movie. Avoiding loopholes from U-Haul, you don't move me.
Peace, big love, big blessings, even bigger living. Everything that come with it and everything in between. You are tuned into Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. It's just a conversation. And if you're watching, you can clearly see I have an amazing guest here on my side. But I tell y'all every time, before I start singing my guest praises, got to do a little bit of housekeeping. First off, shout out to Mowbray Art Gallery here in Wichita, Kansas, our own spot location. You see the beautiful artwork on the walls. Magnificent black art, I love it. Shout out to Gabriel Booker, our producer, GBC Visuals. And if you're watching us, then you must have found us on Spotify or YouTube. So make sure you follow us on YouTube, Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. Like, subscribe, comment, share with your folks in them. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, audio-wise, Spotify, Amazon, Anchor, all of them joints, Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. And social media, Instagram, Thinking Out Loud Convo, TikTok, Thinking Out Loud Convo. Make sure you like and subscribe to the pages. All right, enough of all that. Today, I have an amazing special guest. This woman is the 2022 Miss ICT.
That's right.
She's an author, entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Serial entrepreneur.
That's right.
Let's talk it. Educational consultant, public speaker, program developer, owner of Bridge and Grace. I have the Miss Alexus Scott.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
How you
joining me.
doing?
Hey, I woke up alive. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
I like that.
I'm excited about today.
Ooh, I like that. I like excitement, right? Because excitement means it's eagerness, anxiousness, hopefulness. Excitement means so many different things.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I start every conversation with this one question. Just so I know where we're going.
Right.
Because often I'll have a list of questions.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just going off how we feel. But my biggest question I like to ask is, how is your spirit?
You know, I would say my spirit today is very hopeful. I am definitely doing a lot of introspection, just like most people are. I mean, it's the top of the year, so most people are planning. And that's what I'm doing, but I'm hopeful that spiritually I'm being led in the right way. You know, just kind of redirecting and course correcting.
Okay.
That for sure. So I'm very hopeful.
I like that. Hopeful. Hopeful. Ooh, they say faith is hearing the music of the future and hope is dancing to it right now.
Okay.
I love it. Listen, you talk about planning, and I told myself in this 2023 iteration of Thinking Out Loud, I'm not doing nothing with my phone, right?
Okay.
Like, I'm not looking at questions from my phone. It's just off the heart, off the mind, off the spirit.
Yeah.
Until I seen you drop your 2022 recap. And I said, listen, I gotta take a screenshot. Do you feel me?
Okay.
And I gotta run some of this down, because you talk about course correction, you talk about being hopeful, making sure you led in the right direction. That you closed out 2022 very strong. If it's okay with you, I want to recap a little bit from your nominations, achievements, and awards from 2022. Now, granted, Babe Ruth said yesterday's home runs don't win today's games.
Correct.
But it's very important to be able to really reflect on how dope you are. Because everybody wants to share with you how dope you are. And then if you believe them, then you believe them. And if you don't believe them, then you put that power.
I'm following.
You picking up what I'm putting down?
I'm tracking.
All right, so 2022 Blackout ICT Award, New Kid on the Block nominee, Thread Cohort 2 alum for Martin Pringle Law Firm scholarship recipient, honored for being the president of the Black Student Union at WSU, 2022 Small Business Award finalist with the Regional Chamber of Commerce, 2022 Miss ICT, 2022 Miss Kansas USA Honorable Mention, W's Award recipient, 2022 Women in Business Award, Wichita Business Journal. And one of my favorites I like to look at was the Next Gen Under 30 Award. I could keep going because there's a lot more on here.
It is a lot. I'm sorry.
As I look at these and you talk recapping, the biggest question I want to ask before we just go all the way off the rails, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I actually wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force. I wanted to fly fighter jets.
Okay.
And I wanted to be the person that was being sent into war and protecting and defending the people back home. That quickly changed once I realized my senior year, I wasn't going to be 18 until April 8th. Okay, that's my birthday. Shout out to all my Aries out there. And I had to have a parent's signature before I could enlist. And I said, okay. Everyone else was preparing for college, and most people in the Leavenworth area, which is where I graduated high school, they were either going to KU, K-State. Well, fun fact, I actually had a 17 on my ACT. So I wasn't getting into any four-year school. That's what prompted military, right? And as I was considering, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, I said I knew I wanted to do something cool, at least. If I'm going to be in the military, I want to do something, that was dope. And when they told me, the type of pilot, the type of jets that you want to fly, you would die on impact as soon as you would release one of the missiles. And I'm like, wait a minute now, okay? Dying on impact. I'm like, I love defending people. That's literally what my name means. It means defender of people. I said, but I don't know if I want to die instantly. And it was because of my height, my weight, just the stature. And I said, well, some things have to change. So I looked into some different options. I looked into community college, and at the time I had nobody that was really looking at me like that, but I had a coach that had reached out to me for a cheer, and then I did show choir in high school, and so then I had a music director reach out to me as well, and that was my door. That was my way out. So really, honestly, I didn't know outside of being a pilot what I wanted to do. Opportunities started happening, doors started opening up, and then now here I am.
That's layered. See, I try to find a word in everything, right? Yeah. So it's ill that your Alexus means defender, right? When I look at some of the work you do, right, because I follow you and I try to do my research on people in real life as well. Okay. But you truly are a defender of the people, right? You are somebody that champions inclusion, for one, women empowerment, right? And you at the forefront, like really not just talking it, but you pushing this thing forward. I had a great opportunity to hear you give a presentation at the Create campaign, right? And you had a quote that has stuck with me.
Uh-oh.
Do you know what the quote is?
I don't know.
You be throwing it out there, whatever's on the screen.
I just throw it out and then it comes back to me, so I hope it's a good one. Let's hear it.
It was a great one, Alexus. You said it was about being in each other's lanes, right? And how you shouldn't be mad if somebody's in your lane. Like if we're in the same lane, then that means I can help you if you need a tire changed.
Exactly.
That was fire. That was fire.
Thank you.
Where does that spirit come from?
I would say it comes by experience. So a lot of what I have done and the knowledge base that I have, it's based off of experience. I'm only 26 years old, so a lot of people would say like I'm a youngin' in the game, and I would agree with that. I mean, there's not a lot of life that I've necessarily lived, but there are a lot of experiences that I've lived. And I've learned to know that, there have been times where I tried to go into different lanes and I wasn't necessarily received well. And instead of taking that and becoming bitter or becoming, upset about it, I tried to understand the different narrative. I tried to understand the different side. And a lot of it came back down to people not understanding what it is that you could do for them, which ultimately, again, comes back down to defending people, being there for people, supporting them, creating opportunities for them. And that was really kind of what sparked that. And that's where I started creating just these different narratives of find out like what's making people really uncomfortable. It's not the fact that I can do what you do, but it's the fact that I could potentially be more successful at what you do. And that right there, that'll hit a person's pride. Not because I wouldn't have an issue with you coming into my lane. Yeah. If I knew that I was better, I wouldn't have an issue. But where I'm gonna have an issue, where I'm gonna get upset, and where I'm gonna be pissed off is when I think that you can pass me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be upset about that.
So how often in your space, in your life in general, or even now, your upbringing to now, how often have you run across that where it's like folks are, you know, let me kind of, I don't want you to take what's mine, or you shining bright, because just running down your accolades, right? Like that could be intimidating for some folks, or it can be extremely welcoming for others to be like, yo, you add extreme value to what I'm looking to do, right? So where do you find that balance at?
You know, I didn't find that balance until about the end of last year. And I didn't find it until I really started to understand what my value actually was. I had a glimpse. I had like a brief understanding of what my value was really to people. And it actually took a really good friend that I had like way back in high school. This person decided that she wanted to come for me. She was upset. She was like, yo, I'm not here for anything that you were doing. And
like hating, like
I
trying to sabotage
created
your whole
a
situation.
whole page to dedicate time and effort to bring light upon what it was that I was doing, why I was doing it, and who I was doing it for. And and that really hurt. It was one of those kind of moments where I was like, oof, okay, this doesn't really necessarily feel good because you were one of the people that I do it for. However, it started to make me understand what my worth was. And I said, okay, if someone can dedicate this much time to want to, I even struggle at managing my own social media pages, but you have dedicated several social media pages to highlighting what it is that I'm doing. I said, that's value right there. And it took me a minute. It took me a while to really grasp and accept that you actually bring value to so much that there are even some people who may disagree with how and what you do, but they still understand that you are making impact.
Word. So keep me honest, I want to make sure I'm understanding you fully. So this person made catfish type pages or pages like bigging up the work you were doing?
A combination of both.
Okay.
So the way that this person came about it was we are in the same lane. Okay, I want you to imagine. I'm a visual learner, so I'm going to try and explain this visually. We were in the same lane, doing a lot of the same things. And I actually mentored this person when we were back in high school, early college years. And when I started to take myself a little bit more seriously, all of a sudden, again, I put on my blinker, got from behind this person, and begin to accelerate. Now, instead of, how most people, if you drive in a really cool car, if you know that you got a V8 engine, if you know that you can really keep up with somebody, you be pressing on the gas and be like, hey, let's run, let's go. This person starts pressing on the brake. And it was really unfortunate because, then I began to wonder, okay, what's wrong with her vehicle? And that vehicle is you, okay? You are the vehicle. What's wrong with the vehicle? Are you running out of gas? Did your check engine light come on? The headlights ain't working so you can't really see because there will be some dark times. What was really going on? And, one of the things that I had to kind of forgive myself for, I never went back and checked on that person. So, it's been a couple of years, then all of a sudden this person comes back. Yeah. And, I had to just kind of think maybe they felt forgotten. Maybe they felt like, okay, you went on to be great, but you didn't look back in the rearview mirror to see if we were straight, if we were good. Yeah. So again, this person put in a lot of dedication and time to say, this is where this person is. However, I'm supposed to be there also. And instead of it being a part of just kind of supporting or just saying hey, I'm proud of you, I wish I was there with you, but I'm still proud of you, it was more so that, no, you took my shine. You sped up and you went past me.
Word.
And I was like, hey.
So that makes me think. Okay. And this is what we're doing. We're just thinking out loud.
Let's think out loud. Let's do it.
So this person damn near burnt the bridge and you offered grace.
Yeah.
Kind of a perfect segue, right? Mm-hmm. Your business name is Bridge and Grace.
Yeah.
Where does that name come from?
It comes from two qualities and capabilities that I have. I'm a person that bridges gaps between people. So I've been known to go into hard conversations, organizations, people, businesses, and I've been able to bridge the gap between those that they may not have come in contact with before. So I literally serve as a liaison to say, hey, you need to be connected to XYZ. And some people don't necessarily know why at first. And what I tell them is just give them grace. And grace is, it's literally something that can be unmeasurable at times. And so sometimes you can't put a timestamp on it. Well, I'm going to give them 2 weeks, or I'm going to give them a day to try and figure it out. No. Give them a little bit more grace. Grace, it's unmeasurable. So it's not something that you can put a quantity upon. It's not something that can really be measured at times. And that's what my company does. My company builds literally bridges for one to come together with two and to create something that's monumental. And I took that and I said, you know what, wait a minute. Like, this is something that can be monetizable. This can be something that can get me out of my job being a financial aid advisor at WSU. You know, something that was just getting me by, but this can be something I can really enjoy and actually put some time and effort into.
I love it. I love it. It's funny, Alexus, because you mentioned not having a lot of life lived. You're 26. 26 is mad young. Hell, 30 is young, 40 is young, depending on your perspective of it all, right?
Right.
But you've had some great life experiences. And you not only speak on these situations, but it sounds like you've had to navigate and maneuver around them in a very genuine way, right? Mm-hmm. Where does that, like, what was your upbringing? Like, is that something you were taught, something that you had to bump your head a few times, something you've seen from loved ones, or what put that on your heart to move that way?
I would say, like, it's a combination of, one, me just being me, meaning, one of the things that my dad always told me, and a lot of people in our community know it, but a hard head makes a soft behind.
Wow.
Right? And I got that message, I got that memo. Every time I was getting ready to get a whooping, I got that message. But in a lot of these experiences, I would remember that, you know. And another thing my daddy used to say is, I would never see my last dollar. So a lot of people, they look at my grit, they look at my determination, like, you know, how in the world were you able to build these companies, these businesses that are able to flourish? And when you're being told that, I mean, at a young age, like, my dad, granted at the time I didn't necessarily appreciate it, but we were paying bills. He was billing us for internet, he was billing us for water, he was billing us for rent, you know. And at first I was like, okay, you're my dad. Like, you brought me into this world, right? Which you also tell me you can take me out, but now you billing me for being alive, right? But it taught me something. It taught me to appreciate not only my gifts, my talents, my abilities, but it also taught me that, again, like, when things get hard, when things get rough, I'd never be broke a day in my life.
Ooh.
Never. Because my mind alone is wealth. My personality, my social capital, like, that alone can give me a feast, you know, in the presence of my enemies. But at the end of the day, you know, I look at my upbringing and it wasn't always the prettiest thing. Okay. And I think that's where a lot of people who are on this journey with me now, they don't necessarily see. So I come from a background that, you know, was abandoned a lot, came through, actually been sexually assaulted more times than I can count on two hands.
Word.
So you look at the different situations that I've been through, and there's no way that I couldn't make it. If I could make it through being abandoned, if I could make it through literally being set up, being gang raped, all these kind of things, what makes you think that somebody creating a Facebook page about me, being a narcissist, you think I'm stopped now? Baby, I done been through too much. I owe it to myself now.
You earned it. You deserve that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Word.
For sure.
Wow. So I'm gonna take a step back because you opened that door up. So you talk being abandoned and sexually gang raped, right? Mm-hmm. How were you able to address that trauma? Because that comes with a lot of trauma, PTSD. I can imagine the depression and like so much. I can only imagine. Never been through it.
Yeah.
How do you manage yourself, your emotions, your mental health?
Yeah.
Right.
So one of the big things that helped me to get through that is my faith. Okay. And a lot of people will say, you know, it's cliche, you know, but at the time that was the only thing that I had. Because at that point I was like, man, forget everybody. Like, because it was friends, it was family. I mean the setups, the creativity in the setups, that to me was the most traumatizing part, because statistically speaking, 1 in every 3 women will experience some type of sexual assault in their lifetime. So it was bound to happen, but it was the creativity behind some of these other people that played the parts that really affected me. But I had no choice but to look to the Lord. And when I first went to him, I was pissed. I was like, yo, where are you? You supposed to be this all-knowing God. Like, you're supposed to be the person that's supposed to be always there. Where were you? And, he made it very clear. He's like, I was there the whole time. And he literally took me back through by way of different dreams and different visions. And he showed me where he was. He showed me different moments and times where I felt like there was an additional presence, that was there. And I was like, Did I like that answer at first? No, absolutely not. I was still mad for several years. And that definitely affected the way that I did business. It affected the way that I interacted with men. You wouldn't be able to put me in a room, and this is, again, I'm speaking very transparently.
Definitely.
You wouldn't have been able to put me in a room like this with y'all. You wouldn't have been able to. So I'd be looking at y'all crazy. I would be having this attitude. And even the positions and things that I hold now, I mentor young men now. I do business with men. A lot of people that I'm in boardrooms and meetings with, they're men. And I saw that and began to understand that this was really a tactic from hell that was trying to get me out of alignment, because I look at how much influence I now have over them. And if I would have remained bitter, if I would have remained very skeptical, scared, just living in fear, over this and not been able to take literally whether it was thoughts, emotions, my biases, captive. Child, there's so many doors that wouldn't have been open.
Word.
So many.
Wow. That's loaded. So you're 26 now. How old were you when this happened?
These actually started when I was 3.
Wow.
First encounters. Last one was my sophomore year, college.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was a sophomore at Butler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear how your faith keeps you grounded, right? Because that's something nobody can ever take from you.
Absolutely.
Right, and I appreciate you sharing that story even, right? That's a very transparent moment. Wow. Wow. So looking at the businesses that you do, right, and the women empowerment that you provide in your spaces, I'm sure that leans into that, right? What was that moment that had you say, okay, I see you, God. You've shown me all of it, because it don't happen right away. We'd be lying if we sat right here and said, hey, the first time you cried out to God, he told you, hey, I was there. What was that moment that you was like, I hear you. Let me now walk in this purpose that you have for me?
So I would say it was a series of moments put into one.
Okay.
So I had an encounter with the Lord, and he had me write out a list of all these different names and people who had violated me, right? And I was like, oh, this is just not, because it was making me more upset. I was like, I'm like reliving experiences. I was getting pissed off again. And he said, when I bring these people to you, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. He said, when I bring these people to you, handle them with love. And I was like, man, you can forget all of that, quite frankly. And this is the type of relationship that I have with my God now. So you can forget all of that. Like, I'm not with it. And he was very adamant. He said, when I bring these people to you, because again, it's not necessarily the people that I'm dealing with. He said, it's the spirits within these people, He was very clear about that. And one of the largest encounters that I had, and this was the situation that happened at Butler, where 4 of the football players, I was a cheerleader at the time, 4 of the football players decided that they wanted to make a statement. At the time, I was dating women. I was very much so adamant about, this is who I am. And they wanted to make a statement. They wanted to prove a point. And I had this encounter. I was just very pissed off about it. Again, all of us are on scholarship. All of us are trying to make it into, me just finishing school. All of them was trying to go to the league. And so there was a lot of pressure about whether or not to report, how to just get over it, X, Y, Z. I'm at a church.
Did that sit on you for a while? Like,
it sat on me for years.
Because I think to this Meg in Tory Lane's thing, where one of her original people were so hard on her, but the first thing she mentioned was like, yo, I know what it's like as a black man when it comes to police, and I did not want that for him.
Oh yeah, these were people that I considered brothers. And that was the part that tripped me up. I'm like, I'm considered technically, and it was because of the way that I portrayed myself, the type of relationship that we had. I'm like, I'm one of y'all. And again, the situation that we were in, I'm like, we're talking about 3 out of the 4 went, 2 are still currently playing in the NFL. So we're talking about people's literal lives were on the line. You know, so not only myself, but just looking at, you know, just the pressures of, again, do you want to be another person bringing these people down? They're coming from the same, if not harder, backgrounds than you were coming from. There were so many different things that I battled with. And again, ultimately, I decided not to say anything. And, you know, sometimes I look at, when I'm watching, I'm going to say a game that would be considered America's team. When I watch them teams and stuff play, I'm just like, what would have happened? You know, if I would have spoke up, what would have happened if I would have said something? But I didn't, right? And it got to a point to where I was taking a trip with the current church that I'm with now. Shout out to Powerhouse Church. I was taking a trip with them, and we went up to Minnesota. And at the time, again, now all of us graduated from JUCO. We're at our 4-year colleges. And we're in the line at McDonald's. Mind you, I'm one of them type of people, I hate McDonald's. I ain't gonna lie to you. I hate McDonald's. I'm that person that says I'm never eating there.
I love the nuggets. I don't care what that old video was. I love the nuggets. Come on.
I'm sorry. I just can't get with it. Anyway, I just I was like, man, whatever. We in between services, and y'all know how black church is. We're gonna be in there for 88 hours. So
yeah.
Went to McDonald's, and there's somebody walking up to the car. They just got finished with a really big game, all the kids out partying and all this stuff, whatever. McDonald's is packed, because you know that's all we could afford back in college. And this person starts walking up to the car. Again, I'm a visual learner, I'm gonna give you a visual. 2 young ladies in the front seat, 2 young ladies in the back, and I'm sitting in the seat here in the back. Person is walking up to the car, the girls inside of the car, they're like, who is this dude walking up to us? He kind of cute, you know how girls be, you know, we do. And I'm like, who is it? I look, and it's one of the young men that I had this encounter with at Butler. And immediately, I'm like, I could feel the fire literally boiling over, like, in my blood. Like, I could feel like, okay, like, I'm about to fight. Like, I know we're on this little church trip. I just joined y'all church, so quite honestly, y'all really don't know me like that. Y'all finna see a new side of me. We'll just pray about it later or whatever. He comes to the side of the car, and I remember, like, trying to, like, pull the car door handle open, and it would not open. And I'm like, I'm getting, again, very angry. I'm getting even more upset because I'm frustrated because I'm trying to get out this car because I'm finna go off. Okay? Holy Spirit was just like, when I bring these people before you, handle them with love. And it was so sobering. And I remember looking at, like, the lock. You know how on the locks it'll have, like, this, like, little red kind of little portion on it that tell you, like, if it's locked or unlocked. It was unlocked the whole entire time. And I just open the car door, get out the car, and I go and give this person a hug. Like, wow. Like, this is just, you know, old school friend back in the day. Like, we done grew up together, all this stuff. And he says, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay. Immediately, I mean, like, there was so much joy that just came upon me. I get back in the car. He, like, walks off into the crowd. I get back in the car, my girls, they're like, who is that? You can't just be talking to strangers. You know, they giving me the whole runaround. I'm like, y'all are not gonna believe this. I was like, if I tell y'all, and I'm the type of person, I record everything. That's how I got into stationary journals, all this stuff. I record everything, and I show them. I said, literally, this is the list. This is that person. Wow. We went and looked at the roster. I'm like, this is that person. And I said, this is the instruction that the Lord told me when he brings these people back before me to handle them with love. And I'm like, to think, we're talking about this is a couple years later, and the first words of this person, and the only words that this person had to me was, I'm sorry. Yeah. When the girls seen that, and again, they're able to see, because I timestamp, I date everything that I write down, and they had just begun to rejoice. Some of them even got even some deliverance and healing too, because some of them had experienced some of the same things. And it was that moment that I knew that, okay, like, God, you are real.
Yeah.
If I felt like you did not hear me, now I feel like you hear me. I feel like you've seen me. But it wasn't until then. That moment for me, that we done drove 9 hours up to Minnesota in a McDonald's line that I wouldn't be seen caught dead in for that to happen. It was that moment.
Divine.
Oh yeah.
And you extended grace.
And I didn't think I had it in me. I really didn't.
Listen, there's some niggas that talk crazy. In my inbox, I don't have a lot of grace for it, right? And I mean, I'm sure, right, if it come down to it, but that's powerful, Alexus. Like,
and that's real life.
Yeah.
Can't make that up. I got 3 witnesses. Cause I even thought, saying like when I said, cause you know what, and I share this story now to the young ladies that I mentor and stuff and that I talk to about this, and I was like, you know what, somebody would not believe that would happen, but I'm like, luckily I had, other people there that were able to witness, to say like, this was a real thing, this legit happened, and I was just grateful for that, because I was like, ain't nobody gonna believe that this happened. Ain't nobody. It's crazy.
Wow. That's major. And you talk mentoring and, again, going back to women empowerment, so I'm sure that's a story that somebody will be able to grasp on to have the courage to share their story, right? Because those are not easy stories to share.
No, it's not.
Wow. So, kind of shifting gears a little bit, Powerhouse Church.
Yeah.
This is the church you were on a trip with.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you are now the campus youth pastor?
Campus pastor, yeah.
Campus pastor?
Mm-hmm.
Fire. I ran into y'all on Halloween. Trunk or treat.
Yes.
It was dope. But that is not the only thing that you do.
Right.
Kind of going back to being a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Someone actually gave me that title.
Okay.
I was at an event and they were reading my bio and they added that into there. And as they continued to read my bio, I went on Google and I was like, what does serial entrepreneur mean? Because I hadn't heard that term before. And it's an entrepreneur that has and holds several different businesses. And that was the moment, and this was literally maybe 6-7 months ago, so this is well into me owning all the businesses that I have. And I realized, I was like, you are a serial entrepreneur. Yeah. And it took for somebody else to put that title, and I know a lot of us don't like to operate in titles. I know that a lot of us don't like to operate in labels, but it took for someone else to really see that and to say, this is what you are doing. Because at first I was just like, I'm just a passionate person that just likes to do what I like to do. I want to have the 7 streams of income, all of that stuff. But they said, no, there is an actual word for who it is that you are. You are a serial entrepreneur. Wow. You are someone who is passionate about so many different things. You've established these different incomes and you are running these companies. And I said, okay, well, go on, add it to the bio.
And you're doing the work. I mean, that's the beautiful thing. I think the first time I had a chance to again, just at the Create campaign, I was like, yo, she's gonna sit on the show. We're gonna have this conversation.
Yeah.
Because, and even hearing your story you just shared, right? I think I try my hardest, especially on this platform, to not speak in absolutes, because somebody will say something in the comments, this nigga don't know.
I got you.
I think that people that have been through some of the most traumatic situations, right, and have the willpower, the faith, the discipline, whatever word you want to put on it, to not only push through, because you can't get over it.
Right.
You got to push through it. Right. Not only push through, share that testimony, but then walk in that value system. Yep. Right. Are some of the most successful people I've seen, respectfully. Now, question I always ask, and me and Gabe talk about it all the time. I talk about it myself as well. A lot of times on the outside, when things look great, people treat it like it's strictly, like it's perfect, like there is nothing, right? And that could come twofold. So then, in some cases, people may not extend support in a certain way. So like, oh, you good. Yeah. Right? Or people might even lean on you harder than you need them to lean on you. Do you run across that at all in any capacity? Where it looks so good on the outside, but people don't know what you're dealing with on the inside?
And this is kind of like a exclusive to this podcast. Okay. That most recent, and again, this is something I'm going to end up writing a book about, and people will begin to also see and hear about it a little bit more. But this last month has been one of the most interesting and traumatizing things that I think that has happened yet. And a lot of people will hear, even after just listening to what has happened, they're like, how can it get any worse?
That's
right?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, I know. And you know, I've experienced a lot of wonderful and great wins, but here in these last couple months, I found myself engaging with a person that, come to find out, I mean, this person did not consider me to be a friend, an acquaintance, a significant other, anything. And I was like, ooh, this is kind of hard. And, you know, when two adults decided they want to engage with one another, sometimes things happen, right? And I'm speaking in a way that for those of you who will listen and who will watch this, they'll get it. And for those who won't, you'll get it by and by. Had to go through a little situation, and it was very shocking to me, quite frankly. And I was literally left for dead. And left in a situation where I had to take off of work. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, if you're not showing up, you ain't making no money. For real, that's just how it is. And it was very difficult, again, very hard. Involved a lot of things medically that I was not necessarily prepared for. I wasn't. And this is somebody that I've invited into different communities. I've invited them into different spaces that I frequent a lot. So again, you are now an extension and a representation of me. And it was just not a real good experience. And we're talking about in the highlight of my career, in the highlight of all of these good things. Literally wasn't even gonna post that recap. Wasn't even gonna do it. Debated on whether or not I should add it into the recap, because I was like, this is technically something that happened. But I said, you know what? Sometimes the people can't take it. And this is one thing I'm learning to understand. I'm learning time and place of when to share certain things. And a lot of people will see different people, or they will see different levels, I would say, of support that I get now. And a lot of it is because of the transparency that I have with certain organizations and certain people, and they get it. So they've seen, you know, the translations of life that I've gone through, which allows them to support differently because they know the story, they know what I've come through, they know what has been going on. But I think once the real complete story of what I just went through this last month comes out, there's gonna be a lot of people, and this is what I'm preparing myself for now, there's gonna be a lot of people that will walk away. There will be a lot of people that will say, you know, you should have did better, could have did better. And I'm getting prepared for that, because I'm gonna tell my story, continue to tell my story. I'm gonna continue to share out, you know, the life experiences that continue to get me where I am, because people think that I've done so much just in 2022. Well, baby, I got a lot more fuel now. Word. I got a little bit more than now I can push out, because I done went through another little tough season, but it's gonna be all right.
Alexus, I ain't gonna hold you. Mm-hmm. And you spoke very coded, but I would be remiss to not ask the question.
Yeah.
Are you speaking of a situation where you exercise your women's rights? I did. I respect
Absolutely.
that. I respect that.
And to be, and it's kind of one of the things where it's a really unique experience, because I was actually the first person in the state of Kansas to actually exercise my women's rights virtually. So I've had a lot of firsts just in business, in my personal life, in organizations, all this wonderful stuff, right? I mean, we read a lot about, you know, a lot of first time happenings. But I was actually the first person in the state of Kansas to exercise my women's rights in a virtual setting where my physician and doctor was in Overland Park, Kansas. And I was right here in the city of Wichita.
I'm unpacking.
I know, it's a lot. I waited just for this moment.
I love it, and I appreciate that, right? In all honesty, but even just from a curiosity standpoint. So when you say virtually, is this where they walk you through different steps of a procedure, or?
They did. So I had a medical abortion.
Gotcha.
And it's a series of, and trigger warning for anyone, so I do apologize if this is too much for anyone right now to stomach or to handle. But it was a series of medications that, you know, I had to take. And for those of you who pay attention to politics and paid attention to this last election, they were actually really backed up, meaning the state of Kansas was not actually granting any type of procedures because we did not know where our state was going to land after this last election. And this was definitely something that I knew, with the type of person that I was and where I was just at just in life. I said, I don't know what y'all got to do, but we got to figure something out. I said, because I'm actually in a position where this person is not wanting to proceed. And even at the time, I had to do a lot of introspection and a lot of reflection for myself. And I said, I'm not in that position right now. I'm not in that place right now. And so it was a very interesting process, I must say. When women talk about, again, that process, just being alone and not, having support, or, just the many different emotions that come with it. Imagine then you even have to serve really as your own doctor, even in that moment. I wouldn't wish that on nobody, but I will just say that now it's going to happen more often because you had somebody who was willing to go through it. So
yeah. Wow. No, that. Going back to the start of our conversation, Alexus.
Yep.
Right. So your original plan. When we kids, our plans don't really be plans. We don't really plan it out, but we plan that shit out, right?
We do.
To be a defender of people.
Yep.
Right.
Bad.
To be a champion of people, you're good. And you're doing that. You walking and talking that. You're doing that in this conversation, and I appreciate that. That's major. When I told you this for this iteration of Thinking Out Loud, these episodes, these conversations. Trying to shy away from a list of questions and really just going with wherever we go conversation-wise. And when I looked at your accomplishments, that's really what I want to talk about, right? Your wins. But I appreciate your transparency because I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, my mom, my wife on New Year's, and then another one with my man, Brandon Johnson, right? And it was the same conversation, but different topics. So one was from a spiritual standpoint in church, and how a lot of times folks that are saints can be the most judgmental. They can be the most they can go to church and then gossip at. Like, it'd be so much that comes with it. I ain't gonna get too much into that, right?
Yeah.
But then also looking at the youth, and a lot of times their disregard for older generations, trying to give them game.
Yeah.
And the reason both of those things happen, so if somebody's in the church, but somebody that may not be all the way bought in, somebody's looking for God and doesn't have a relationship, so they're looking for God in somebody else, right? They are then in a space where transparency lacks, because we forget what it's all about. You're not supposed to be perfect, but now that you're showing that you're acting like you're perfect, or with the OGs and the youth, it's like, don't do this, but it's never a level of transparency, right? So I know for a fact that your future is brighter than this light shining on us, because your level of transparency is shining, right? Because your level of transparency in your wins in your life. So I'm really taken aback by this conversation. I'm really appreciating this, because I like to listen. I like to learn people, and I'm learning a lot about you right now. And I'm hopeful anybody listening, watching is learning a lot about you as well. Question I gotta ask you: 26. That's so young. I'm 35.
Okay.
I'll be 36 this year. That's a major generational difference. When you look at yourself 10 years ago, what is something that, if you could go like the movies when they pop and be like, yo, girl, don't do this, or girl, do it. Like, what would you tell yourself 10 years ago?
Oof. 10 years ago, being 16, I would have told myself to get help. And I waited 10 years to literally get help. So now I'm seeing 3 different therapists.
Okay.
And all out of referrals, and because I get it, some of our therapists, they specialize in very different things, and I'm a very complex person, as we all know now. And at that age, I had the opportunity to get help, and I didn't. I did a really good job at masquerading that I was okay, to the point to where, again, my parents literally called the cops on me because I said some things that were very alarming to them. And I thank God for my parents, because they have definitely been supportive, through my entire life, the way that they could and the way that they knew how. And at the time, my mom, that's how she knew how to be supportive was, okay, you need some help. I can't necessarily help you. I don't even know if my prayers is necessarily helping you, but I'm praying still, but I'm gonna just call the cops just in case, okay? And, you know, had some run-ins and stuff with them and literally had to defend to a psychiatrist that I was okay, that I was mentally stable. And now, hindsight looking back, you know, it's one of those kind of moments where I was like, you actually have developed a skill that isn't necessarily good because you were able to put on a mask and to parade around that you were good. And you did it for a couple hours because it took a while for them to approve, you know, and say that, okay, she's fine to go back home and everything like that. But I would have told myself at 16, get help. And at the time that it was presented to you, you should have gotten it then.
Word. Ooh, that's a bar. Mental health is the most important, I believe. I like to think, again, I'm no expert, I like to think it may go mental health, spiritual health, physical health.
Yeah.
Because, right, spiritual health is you depending on something bigger than you. Right, mental health is you taking care of you. And I know that a lot of times in our community, folks may lean on spiritual health and neglect mental health because they think these prayers without this work.
Okay. They think it's going to be able to do something.
You feel me?
So I want to share this since you're on that, you know, because again, coming from a faith-based perspective, right, there are a lot of experience and a lot of things. And again, a second shout out to my church family because they're not the type of people that will coddle you and say that everything is just going to be okay, you know, but they really do take the time to say, okay, what type of help do you need? How are we ensuring that you're getting that help? And then 2, what are we going to do better so that we're not in the same position, you know, that we were, that got us maybe into this situation. And a lot of people don't necessarily like that. And I'm talking about not a lot of people, just normal people. I'm talking about faith-based people. We don't like that because it comes with accountability. However, you know, the Bible, it lets us know that as a man thinketh, so is he. So right there, you're talking about the mind. And when we talk about mental health, it's a mind thing. And so a lot of people, and this is where I will challenge a lot of people to think, you know, as it pertains to mental health, that it's actually very spiritual, very. Because if it wasn't, and if it wasn't as important, I don't think that the Lord would have written that in His Word to let us know that, again, whatever it is that you got going on in your mind, that's what's getting ready to happen. So if you are thinking that you are a nobody, if you are thinking that you are someone who's just going to live in poverty all your life, if you are somebody who is thinking that I'm getting ready to go out and harm myself and several other people, that's what you are getting ready to do and be. And that's what a lot of therapists, they'll tell you. That's why they ask you, how are you today? Where's your mind today? Because they have some level of understanding that, again, whatever's going on up here, that's what's getting ready to be portrayed out. And so I encourage, and I even charge, you know, those who have some type of level of faith-based responsibility to challenge how in the world are we looking at people's mental health? How are we prioritizing that? And, you know, for some of us who don't think that the Lord cares about it, who doesn't think that it's really that important as it pertains to spirituality or religion, I want them to really look at Scripture. Okay, because that's what a lot of us use, you know, when we're trying to defend something anyway. But go literally to the Bible and look at what does He say about our mental health.
Today, we preaching today. I'm not an expert in mental health, but I'm a huge advocate. Right, so I serve on 2 different boards. Rose, Reach Out to Someone Else, which is local here in Wichita, right, and they prioritize Black mental health. Yeah. Right, so all the therapists, all the counselors are people of color, and that's the community we serve. I'm also on the board of the Mental Health Association of Kansas, right? And again, just breaking that stigma, to have that conversation, right? To even be open, because we shy away from it too often. So, I'm loving this. Last question, Alexus, and then I'll let you close with whatever you have on your heart, on your spirit, right? You seem to be on the right track. Yeah. And I say seem because, again, I go back to I'm not an expert. You seem to be on the right track. What affirmed for you that you were indeed walking in purpose? Was there a moment? Was there a series of moments? Or what will let you know, ooh, girl, you doing what you're supposed to be doing?
I would say it's not one specific moment, it's a series of moments. Okay. So I do a lot of work with different people, and it's those moments when I'm able to reflect, whether that be in or at an event. I have someone who will send a text message, an email, or give a phone call. I've even had people write letters down to the shop or the office and say, this is how what you did, or this is how this event, or this is how what you said affected me or impacted me in some way, shape, or form positively. And it's those type of moments that let me know, okay, we're on track. Because I've had those thoughts several times. Like, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? Because again, we could have been a pilot somewhere. We could have been, we could have been doing something else. So it's those moments that remind me that, like, we on the right track. And to be honest with you, there are a lot of times where I will even ask the Lord, because a lot of what I do is a lot of hard stuff. A lot of it's not always easy. And granted, social media may kind of paint a really pretty picture of it, but it's a lot of hard work. I'm going up against principalities. It's not just no small little people, but I'm going up literally against systems and powers that have been oppressing people for many, many years. And it's those moments, and a lot of it kind of goes back to, if people are familiar with love languages, words of affirmation. Yeah. That was actually not one of my love languages for a very long time, but it actually became one when I realized that this is kind of what I needed. And I think that the Lord knew, and he started strategically placing people in my life to let me know, like, thumbs up, like, we're doing it. So, series of moments.
I love that. Oh, I love it. Love languages, that's a conversation I'm going to get into another day, but I have to say it out loud since you mentioned the love languages.
Yeah.
I've been married 11 years, 12 years this year. And something I recognize about the love languages is that one can exist with another, right? And that there's not a sole monolithic thing.
Right.
But I'm going to have a conversation about that another time. Listen, Alexus, I appreciate you to the max. I appreciate your transparency. I appreciate the work you do in the community. Appreciate your mentorship programs you offer, right?
Thank you.
Because again, it's so easy to talk the talk, but you walking. You talking at the same time. So don't slow down. May God continue to pour into you as you pour out to others as well, offering your services at the highest level. So thank you. Before we go, let the people know about all the work you do, your businesses, and how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So you all can visit, and follow. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. There's 3 different businesses, so go ahead and get your pen and paper out while I just let you know where I am. If you are an entrepreneur, someone who wants to receive mentorship, someone who is saying, I have a program, I have an idea that I want to really flesh out, but I just need some mentoring and coaching, you can reach out to me at management@bridgeandgrace.com. Again, we're on Facebook and Instagram with that business. And then if you are someone who is saying, listen, I'm an artist, I'm a creator, I want to develop some products, potentially get in a store, you can reach out to me at shop@theboutique5.com. It's a really cute retail store located in downtown Wichita. And last but not least, for all of my faith girlies out there, Queens for Christ, my nonprofit organization, that's actually one of my first businesses. Fun fact. It's coming back, and it's going to be greater than ever. So go ahead, follow, find me on all of those platforms.
I love it. I love it. Make sure y'all tap into the serial entrepreneur, CEO, and owner of Bridge and Grace, Miss Alexus Scott. Listen, it's been Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. The biggest love, biggest blessings, and even bigger living. Holla. Cool.
Sweet.
We gotta get a picture too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Let's
amazing. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, I didn't talk about your basketball. Every time I get through, I'd be like, damn, I should have mentioned that because I seen you play basketball. And it's funny because you like 4'3".
I mean, no.
I got a lot of living to do before I die. I ain't got time to waste. Time don't wait. Everything costs. Time been money. I don't fool with homie. Slime been funny. I don't do no jokes unless I'm the one telling them. Y'all nasty like 69. Y'all boys telling. Stay away from goofies. This is not a movie. Avoiding loopholes from U-Haul, you don't move me.